Good evening and welcome to this edition of The List on UWW-TV. I'm Charlie Siegel.
And I'm Zach Kreider. And for the next few minutes, we'll present our top 5 sports stories of the week and discuss why they made the top 5. Did your top 5 make our list? Let's find out.
At number 5, after 7 weeks of football, there are 17 teams over 500, tied for the most at this point of a season in the NFL history. Zach, let's talk about some of these division leaders and some teams that have impressed you so far.
Well, we have to start out in the AFC, the Colts and the Patriots. The Colts, of course, the number 1 seed in the entire NFL. They are currently 5-1, looking like the best team in the league. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor for MVP. He has been the driving force for this Colts team. Daniel Jones, they call him Indiana Jones in Indianapolis. He's playing very clean football, and he looks like he's the man at the helm for the Colts. This Colts team is a force to be reckoned with the rest of the season. Moving on to the Patriots, Drake May is him. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Drake May protects the football. You can see he's going through his reads faster. He's not making as many mistakes. And he looks like he has this football team playing at a high level. We just beat the Bills. They played a very good football game. I could see this team as well contending for one of the best teams in the AFC East. On the NFC side, the Panthers. We don't really talk about them as a good team. Sneakily 4-3 on the season. Of course, they have a real test against Buffalo this next week. And the Seahawks, extremely improved defense. This was not a great defense a year ago. They're extremely improved, and this Darnold to JSN connection is lethal. Darnold, of course, continuing where he left off in Minnesota. He has his team playing really well, and yeah, these are 4 teams I really like rest of the season. At number 4, after the reigning champion Panthers got off to a 3-0 start, they've lost 4 in a row. The Hurricanes and Red Wings have each won 5 in a row. Charlie, what do you make of the state of the NHL a week into action?
Yeah, Zach, what a start. We're only a couple weeks in, and already the standings look wild. On the eastern side, I want to talk about the Hurricanes. They are rolling, and that 5-game win streak shows how dangerous they are when the offense clicks. And then moving over to Detroit. Detroit's been an early surprise at top of the line with Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin. They're all just torching defenses out there, and they're looking amazing. And then for Florida, losing straight 4 after a 3-0 start definitely is a wake-up call. Still a ton of talent on that roster, but they need to tighten up defensively. And moving over to the Western Conference, out west, the Stars and Jets have both looked sharp, deep rosters, and great goaltending. Definitely a playoff team. Playoff team last year. Highlight for the Jets, Jonathan Toews coming back after 3-season hiatus. This definitely has a lot to prove here. And then moving over to Colorado. Colorado looks like a team to beat. Again, Nathan MacKinnon is already in midseason form, looking amazing, torching defenses out there, outskating everybody. And then Cale Makar holding down the blue line. They're an amazing team, and we're definitely going to see them in the playoffs. And then the most impressive teams is you got 4 teams still unbeaten, and that's rare this far in. I mean, the discipline and structure of some of these squads are showing up early and impressive, like the Canes, the Wings, the Avalanche, and the Rangers. Those are definitely my early picks for this team setting the tone.
And of course, one of the teams I would like to talk about, the Edmonton Oilers, a team that, of course, made the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, did lose both years to the Panthers, who we just talked about. They're starting off 2-3-1. Of course, McDavid is McDavid, but this team just does not look like years past. Draisaitl has not looked as great so far to start the year. Just not a great start here if you're the Edmonton Oilers. And then also in the Pacific Division, the Seattle Kraken so far do not have a loss on their record. They are 3-0-2, second behind the Vegas Golden Knights. They look like a team to possibly watch out for later in the season. At number 3, Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos came back to beat the New York Giants 33-32 as time expired. Nix accounted for 4 touchdowns, 2 on the ground and 2 through the air, which led to 33 points in the comeback win, the most scored in NFL history after being shut out through the first 3 quarters. Charlie, what are your thoughts on this insane ending at Mile High?
Yeah, that was unbelievable, Zach, and that might be the wildest fourth quarter we'll see all season. On to Bo Nix, 4 total touchdowns after being shut out for 3 quarters. That's video game stuff, man. He looked posed, mobile, and completely in control when it mattered the most. But I have to give credit to Jackson Dart and the Giants, though. They played 3 really solid quarters defensively, but you could feel the momentum shift once Denver scored that first touchdown and got their momentum. The Giants' defense just couldn't get off the field. But back to the Broncos, scoring 33 points in a single quarter. That's the most ever after being scoreless through 3. That's a record that might stand for a long time, and that win might be a turning point for Nix and the Broncos' offense.
Could not agree more. Jackson Dart, you know how I feel about him. I think that first interception that he had kind of really opened the floodgates for this comeback by the Denver Broncos. I think we still need to see him in high-pressure situations, continue to make the right throw, make the right decision. I love what he's done for New York, him and Cam Scadaboo. They have this team, high energy, they have him playing well, but ultimately, huge credit to the Denver Broncos. They figured out that targeting Drew Phillips on defense was pretty much a sure reception. Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims consistently torched him throughout the whole game, and it was a huge reason why they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. Like you said, something I thought I'd never see. Of course, there was that huge comeback by, I think it was the Vikings a couple years ago, but I mean, this was just on another level. What a fantastic football game.
And then Nick Benito, too, he's playing unbelievable right now. Front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. We saw it last year. Nick Benito is definitely a standout name, and I think he's starting to finally get his shine. We've got more coming up on the list, including a discussion on the college football chaos and the team to beat in LA. We will be right back.
Here at UW Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
It anyways. She got that off, and they're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
Matt checking in to see how Sam is doing on his project, and it's getting close to exporting now, the final step in the process. And it is complete, and Sam is hyped. Finally gets complete and spikes the ball into the end zone. Sam's celebrating with his colleagues, and they throw a flag on the play. The ref's going to call excessive celebration. Sam is in disbelief and can't believe it. He tries to dispute the call, but the ref is not having any of it.
Welcome back to the list on UWW-TV. Let's continue the countdown to this week's top sports stories. At number 2, 5 of the top 11 ranked college football teams lost over the weekend, changing the AP polls significantly going into Week 9. Zach, what do you take away from the chaos that ensued? Which team that got a new ranking are you most impressed with?
Well, first of all, talking about the Miami loss, bad loss to Louisville. Carson Beck looked awful, throwing multiple interceptions. But I really want to focus on two teams, Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt, two teams that we never talk about in the top 25. They're by no means mainstays on the rankings. Georgia Tech, Haynes King looks so good for this football team. Of course, I mean, he has been lights out, throwing the ball, protecting the ball, and honestly rushing too. He has multiple 100-yard rushing efforts on the season. And then, of course, Vanderbilt, the laughingstock of the SEC for so many years. They finally look in form. Of course, their only loss is to an Alabama team. But they've had multiple ranked wins on the season, and they look like a team that could continue to push for a playoff spot this season.
Yeah, and then moving on to some other teams that fell out of the top 25. Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, and Utah all fell out after tough losses. It just shows how tight the margin is every week. And then some of the biggest jumps and falls I have to talk about here is Oregon jumped big after that statement win. They're right back in playoff conversation, but meanwhile Penn State took a huge hit after that loss to Wisconsin. Their offense just hasn't clicked. And the top 10 starting to look like a war zone. Georgia and Michigan still on top, but teams like Texas and Florida are right behind, and the playoff race feels completely open heading into Week 9.
Could not agree more. Just going back to looking at this top 25, Indiana, number 2 on the rankings. Unbelievable. Curt Cignetti has his team playing really well. We talked about this last week. They look like one of the best teams in college football, and honestly, I don't know if I would take them. I might take them over Ohio State with the way that they've been playing. So much momentum so far in the season, and they look like they could be one of, if not the best team in the Big Ten. In our top story of the week, the mighty Los Angeles Dodgers are looking to defend their title after sweeping the number 1 seeded Milwaukee Brewers, unfortunately. Advancing through the World Series, we have seen historic performances from multiple players this postseason for LA. Charlie, what has impressed you most about this Dodger team on their run so far? Should there be a salary cap in baseball?
To answer your question, I think yes, there should be. But however, when you have players like Shohei Ohtani, almost solidifying yourself as probably the greatest baseball player of all time,
Certainly.
It's very fun to see when you're on a great team. As a Cubs fan, I am cheering for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I just love it. Shohei's Game 4 was legendary. 2 home runs and a clutch RBI double. He's rewriting postseason history. And it's not just Ohtani. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman have been surgical at the plate. LA has done so well over the last 3 series. Their bullpen has been lights out, ERA under 2 in the postseason so far. Their offense is so balanced, and they're just not relying on one superstar. But what could hurt them in the World Series? If there's one concern, it's depth in the starting rotation. If the series goes that long, that could be their weak spot.
And we talked about going back to this Brewers and Dodgers series. We talked about how the Brewers needed to get to the bullpen of the Dodgers, and they couldn't do it. That offense was not rolling after swinging the bat all year. They couldn't do it against the Dodgers. The starting pitching for the Dodgers was unbelievable. Yamamoto pitching basically a complete game. You had Snell, obviously he went, I think, 8. And then Shohei Ohtani basically won the game by himself that last game. 3 home runs, swinging the bat, and pitched 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, and no earned runs given. I mean, there's no words that you can have. Like, probably the best playoff performance we have ever seen. And this is just a great Dodgers team. I don't see why they don't take this back-to-back years in the World Series.
Right. And the question about the salary cap is fair. The Dodgers' payroll is just so massive, but at the same time, they draft and develop as well as anyone, and you just can't buy chemistry. But at the end of the day, I think there definitely should be a better salary cap for the Dodgers.
And that will do it for this edition of The List. We'll be back in a week to talk about next week's top 5 sports headlines. I'm Zach Kreider.
And I'm Charlie Siegel. We'll see you next time for more stories right here on UWW TV.